This is a historic symposium. In my lifetime, I've never been in one room with so many luminaries. These are people that have laid the groundwork that we've built on, and some of the analytical methods, for instance, we're still using today. I think it's one thing to be recognized in the New York Times as, you know, so-and-so's a good chemist. But it's quite another to be recognized by your own society as the best of the best, the people who have contributed the most. I'm sure there are other legends besides these 15 people, but I truly believe these 15 people would be on anybody's list of legends. Again, welcome. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Susan Richardson. Susan is a research chemist at EPA in Athens, Georgia, and we organized this symposium together. Susan is becoming more and more recognized as a person very knowledgeable in disinfection of water. Everybody knows you can disinfect water with chlorine, but you can disinfect it with an awful lot of other things. Any of the halogens or ozone or oxygen or other compounds too. And Susan is well versed in some of the deleterious side compounds that are formed, and has helped many people. I was at a news conference yesterday about this symposium. Sherwood Rowland and I were there. And I was asked by one of the people, do I see anybody in the offing, in the hinterlands, who are going to follow in the footsteps of these legends? And it didn't take me long to think of anybody, and I thought of Susan. At the spring meeting of the American Chemical Society last March in New Orleans, Susan was awarded a prestigious award by the American Chemical Society, the Award for Innovative Chemistry. And as I look over the list of speakers, several of them have won the same award. So I think Susan has an excellent chance of following in the footsteps of those people. Susan is going to talk to us a little bit about some of the legends that have gone on. And Susan is my colleague and my friend and my sister in Christ.
So I want to take just a moment to honor a few legends who are no longer with us. Legends without their vision and their brilliant minds, I'm sure we wouldn't be where we are today, that we wouldn't know as much as we know in the area of environmental chemistry. And as Vic said, there are many past legends that we could honor today, but we've chosen three very special ones, and I think you'll agree that they're special ones to represent those legends who are no longer with us. And the first one we want to honor today, and so we're going to dedicate this symposium to the memory of these three amazing environmental chemists. First one is Joe Breen. You have that first line? Oh, it's here. Thank you. This one? Okay, great. And many of you probably knew Joe personally, and in fact, it's in his memory that the ACS Award for Creative Advances in Environmental Chemistry, or Environmental Science and Technology, is given each year. And of his many accomplishments, Joe is known as the heart and soul of green chemistry. And green chemistry, of course, encourages environmentally friendly chemical processes and synthesis. And Joe helped to found the Green Chemistry Institute. Joe's also known for his passion for turning young people onto science and helped to found the Kids in Chemistry program. So Joe's the first one we want to acknowledge and honor. And the next past legend we'd like to honor is Ken Hancock. And I wish I had a picture of him. I wasn't able to get a picture of Ken, unfortunately. But Ken also has an ACS award that bears his name, the Kenneth G. Hancock Memorial Award in Green Chemistry, which honors outstanding student contributions for furthering the goals of green chemistry through research or education. And like Joe Breen, Ken Hancock was one of the early pioneers in green chemistry. Ken served as director of the chemistry division of the National Science Foundation for many years and developed the Environmentally Benign Chemical Synthesis and Processing Initiative, which has been helping to fund green chemistry research for more than 10 years. Ken unexpectedly died in 1993, and if he were still here, I think he'd be amazed at how successful the green chemistry movement has been. and how it's been successful in reducing our exposure to hazardous chemicals. The final legend, past legend, that I'd like to honor today is Sam Karakoff. Probably many of you knew him personally. In fact, Sam was my mentor at the EPA in Athens, Georgia for several years until he retired about 5 years ago and unexpectedly died in a tragic accident last summer. Sam, without a doubt, is the brightest person I've ever known. Amazing, amazing man. He first made his mark in sorption, developed the famous octanol water partitioning coefficient, KOW. Sometimes it's called log P. It's amazing. I mean, that concept, and I remember him telling me that it was very difficult to get that initial paper published. When you have something radically different that's just elegantly simple, seems too good to be true. He had difficulty getting this famous paper published, and it's one of these classical citations. You see, just for fun, I went on Web of Science before I came here, and you see it's got more than 1,500 citations. I wonder how many, maybe some other legends in this room actually have that many citations. I know I don't. This is for that one paper, 1979 in Water Research. And just very groundbreaking. And in fact, so KOW's octanol water partition coefficients are so important to know for chemicals to predict their fate and transport in the environment. And in fact, I was just reviewing a manuscript for analytical chemistry and saw where they're relating these KOWs also to retention on an LC column, liquid chromatography column. It's interesting. It's just amazing how this concept is used in so many different areas. And Sam developed this from scratch. And of course, it was difficult to publish initially. And now it's in every environmental textbook that's out there, this octanol water partitioning coefficient. Very, very important. And so I would posit that probably Sam would have many more than probably 10,000 citations if anybody knew to even cite it anymore, because it's just textbook material now. I think it's just so fantastic. And as if that wasn't enough, Sam, for the second part of his career, developed a model called SPARC, an expert system, if you will, called SPARC. And SPARC calculates all kinds of different chemical properties from scratch, just based on the electronic properties of a molecule. Calculates Henry's law constants, of course KOWs, solubility constants, pKa's. In fact, predicts pKa's very accurately even when there are multiple sites of ionization in a single molecule. There's no other model that will do that. Amazing. A whole lot of other chemical properties, including hydrolysis was one of the last things, hydrolysis rate constants for some classes of chemicals. So that's what he did toward the end of the second half of his career. And something he tried to instill in me, tried to teach me and other scientists, younger scientists at my lab, was to have a chemical empathy, he called it, to try to put your mind in the mind of the chemical, what that chemical is experiencing. And that's how he developed the SPARC model. He just had this real sense of chemical empathy. And the only person I've ever known to be able to do that. And I wish Sam were here today to be able to give his vision and speak to us today. Very tragic that he's gone. But it's in the honor of these three amazing chemists that we want to dedicate the symposium to. Without their pioneering work, we would not be where we are today. I want to take one final moment. Vic doesn't know I'm doing this. He embarrassed me, so I can embarrass him too. I want to honor him. Of course, he's a legend who is still with us over here at the podium, at the table. Vic, a few years ago, called me up on the phone and said, what do you think if we did a symposium on legends of environmental chemistry? What do you think? Is that a crazy idea? Could we do this? We want to hear their stories, to hear their struggles, to hear how they were inspired to do the work they were, and to be able to meet with them and talk with them. And of course, it was a fantastic idea, and here we are maybe 5 or 6 years later after a lot of hard work on Vic's part. He's just a real visionary in this, and I just want to honor him and acknowledge him for allowing this symposium to take place, for having the idea for this. What a wonderful opportunity we all have to meet with these legends. So I would encourage you at the breaks, at lunch, go up and talk to some of these legends. We have the reception tomorrow evening at the Chemical Heritage Foundation. There's still tickets available. I'd just encourage you to come and meet some of the legends that are here in this room today. So thank you, Vic, for your vision in doing this.
I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. Larry Keith actually needs no introduction. Larry is a pioneer in the environmental movement. He was there when somebody coined the term priority pollutants. And I know personally that Larry had a hand in setting the limit of detections for those chemicals. When I started to read over the number of publications that Larry has, I thought it was a misprint. I mean, there were books, compendiums, electronic books, chapters, expert systems, analytical methods, government reports, patents. Amazing. He's also a past chair of the Environmental Division of ACS. Susan and I were very careful about who we chose to be our keynote speaker. We had a number of good people to choose from. And we chose Larry.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share some of the experiences that I've had over the years with you. And plan to give just more or less kind of a historical synopsis of some of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be involved with. If we can make this work here. Okay. Well, what the talk is about, eagles who are revered for their strength and their vision, and they're admired, and they're icons of knowledge and leadership. And over the years, I've been fortunate to work with lots of different eagles, some of which you'll recognize and some of which you've never heard of. But anyway, they were known and unknown chemists that I was lucky enough to interact with in pioneering modern environmental chemistry. And one of the things to remember now is that this is just only one perspective, my perspective. So it's just it's not going to be total in any respect at all. So I'm going to cover things in kind of like 4 different areas. The one I'm going to concentrate on mostly is the one that I think you'll find the most interesting, and that's before EPA and early EPA. And I'll cover what we were doing with paper mills in early days of mass spec and NMR analyses, and the formation of EPA and what that had for us, and some of the early things that we began to discover, like chloroform in drinking water, and PCBs, and then some interesting things. One Gordon conference that I was able to go to, and some other conferences. And then in the 1980s, as things began to really take off, just a few things about a couple folks, Randy Hall's GC Inventions, and some few of the books and electronic books, and now kind of what I'm doing now and have